Welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Observing the Moon. This will just give you a basic understanding of how easy it can be to see what is on the moon and understand what you are looking at. Okay, so we'll go through the basics of how to look at the moon, starting with what you can see when you do look at the moon, and understanding why there are light areas and dark areas across the surface of the moon that is facing us, and why we get phases of the moon. And to finalise, we've got some things that we call clair obscur, and more about that later on. Okay, just to start basically, just use your own eyes just to stand outside and look at the moon. We can then find out more about it when you use a pair of binoculars, which many people will already have, but we will go through the figures of what those numbers on the binoculars mean. And if you're into wildlife or bird spotting, you may have a spotting scope, which will enable you to see something a bit more detailed. And then ultimately, if you want to have a further detailed view, then a telescope will be the ultimate way to look at the moon yourself. Okay. So, if you are unfamiliar of what the figures are for using binoculars, you'll see two sets of numbers. The first number I've got here on the pair of 10 by 50s is the number 10, and that is the magnification factor. And the 50 is the objective lenses at the front of the binoculars in millimeters. So you've got 50 millimeters diameter. They can come in much smaller sizes or bigger sizes. Obviously, the larger the number, the more light gathering power that you can actually obtain. And because then you'll be able to get much fainter objects more easily visible through the eyepiece and see it a lot clearer. Okay. Now, if you're into the bird spotting or wildlife, you may be using a spotting scope, which is also very useful. And they usually have a zoom lens on there, which will enable you to get even closer views of the moon. Okay. So, here we have the best way to observe the moon, where you can use a telescope. You'll be able to interchange different eyepieces to get the magnification a lot better for closer details of the surface. Or in this case, on the photograph, I've got a camera added onto the back, but that's for something else to talk about later on. So, what can you see when you look at the moon closer viewed? You may notice that there are dark areas and light areas across the surface, and the darker areas are called mare or oceanus, which in Latin translates over to seas or ocean. Now, these areas were originally all covered over with craters like the rest of the moon, but surface details have been erased due to the lava rising up from inside the moon and laying a layer of lava across the area, and consequently any further rock bombardment has created new craters in the place of where the other ones were erased. Now, you might notice that there are some craters which have rays coming out. Now, these are obviously from the impacts that the rocks had hit the surface and has strewn across the surface of the moon. Now, due to the fact that the moon has a 1/6 less gravity and no atmosphere, the rocks ejected from the impact sites have come across in all directions away from the impact site. And as you can see, some of the rocks have managed to come quite a distance away from the impact site. So it makes for quite interesting details of how they have traversed across the surface. Here we have some of the areas named. The seas and oceans are in the blue, and some of the craters are in white. Now, a lot of these are named after Greek or other famous people throughout the generations and history that we have come to know, and they all have been named specially for these people to commemorate them. Okay, so here we have the orbit of the moon around the Earth and how we see the phases of the moon in relative terms to its position in the Earth's orbit. So it takes almost a month for one complete orbit. And as you can see, we start with the new moon when it is directly in front of the Earth, between the Earth and the Sun, to the point of 180 degrees back where you get the full moon, where it is fully behind the Earth and completely illuminated. Now, due to the fact that the rotation of the moon and the number of days that it takes to go around the moon is almost identical, it's what we call tidally locked, so we can always see, within reason, the same face of the moon all the time. Now, we do see a little bit of the eastern side and the western side of the moon, and this is called libration, where it just gradually rocks in its orbit. So we can actually see about 55 or a little bit more % of the moon. So we can see a little bit more on the east and a little bit more on the west, but it gradually generally just see the same face all the time. These are just some general pictures that I've taken of the moon, starting with the new moon, gradually working up to its first quarter where it's half lit, up to a full moon, and then gradually waning to a last quarter, thin crescent, and then a new moon. So we basically got a new moon, then we've got a waxing crescent, then we've got a first quarter, and then we've got a waxing gibbous, and then we go to a full moon. After that, it's then a waning gibbous, a last quarter, waning crescent, and then back to a moon. So we've got waxing, waning, and a gibbous. The gibbous meaning it's like an oval. Okay, so we do have some interesting features to observe on here, and they're called clair-obscur effects. Now, we call them clair-obscur effects, which is a French term meaning light dark, and it's just describing the difference in the contrast. And sometimes when you look at the phases of the moon, depending on the angle of the sun shining onto the surface at these various points around the surface, you will get some shapes forming. And what we generally get just before the first quarter is what we call a lunar V and a lunar X, where we can see the letter V and the letter X on the surface. And these are just points of craters which are just lit above the surface of where they actually are to get these shapes and letters that we can actually see. And as you may see, you might be able to just about see the letter V and the letter X. Now, the letter X is formed from several craters all merging together, where they all seem to join at a center point of the X. And this one is called the eyes of Clavius. And this is quite interesting, where you just get the rims of the craters inside Clavius just illuminated enough to get just the top of the rims of the craters. And that is all I'm going to say about that. I hope you've managed to get some interesting points from this little tutorial. And if you're interested in doing anything stronger or more interested, then I have another one on how to photograph the moon. Thank you very much.